Live from the pitch pad in New York City. Get ready to unleash your inner entrepreneur with Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just dipping your toes into the Shark Tank, this is the place to be to discover how to turn your pitch into reality. Fasten your seatbelts, pitch stars, because the spotlight is on you and we are about to make success happen. On this episode of Pitch Live,
aside from knowing how to communicate and talking to your audience and of course writing, I think that confidence was a really, really big thing that I picked up at Pitch. Again, like I mentioned, you had so much confidence in us, and I think that I kind of had imposter syndrome in a way that I was like, I don't know if I'm right for this job or for this industry, but you would keep pushing us, and that really helped build up my confidence. Obviously, when you're on the phone with 80 plus people, you're able to really practice your communication skills and your confidence levels do grow.
Get ready for Pitch Live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Pitch Live. I'm your host, Amy Summers, founder and president of Pitch Publicity and Vox. I'm also a hardworking entrepreneur who is passionate about helping you reach success in any area of your life. And I know that is possible after decades of experience in perfecting the pitch and enhancing communication skills, which is why I'm here today and joined by Daniela Restrepo. Daniela is a former forever pitch star who interned with us at Pitch Publicity starting in the fall of 2021 until the spring of 2022, and she graduated from the University of Florida, earning a degree in public relations. Now, Daniela, before I tell everybody what you're doing now, which is very exciting, I'm going to do a quick little fire round with you, if that's okay. This was not in the script.
Yeah, let's do it.
But just to see if people can kind of guess a little bit more about your bio before I tell them about it. So I'm going to give you 2 choices. Don't think about it. Just give me the first one that comes to mind. Miami or Chicago?
Miami.
Okay. PR or advertising?
Advertising.
Okay. Pizza or hot dog?
Pizza.
And social media or greeting card?
Ooh, let's do greeting card.
Okay. Old school.
Yeah.
Gator chomp or the orange and blue chant?
Gator chomp.
Gator chomp. All right. So you probably guessed that Daniela is a gator, but after graduation, she started her career at MSL, a global public relations firm where she served as an assistant account executive on Procter & Gamble's Pampers team. There she led influencer campaigns, handling vetting, negotiations, and content review to drive results and meet campaign KPIs. Today, Daniela is an account executive at FCB Chicago, an award-winning global advertising agency where she leads gift and greeting card campaigns for USPS, that is the United States Postal Service, and supports larger-scale creative projects. With her expertise in public relations, influencer marketing, and account management, Daniela brings creativity, strategy, and passion to all of her projects with the goal to drive impactful campaigns and meaningful consumer connections. Welcome, Daniela. I'm so excited to catch up with you and find out how you've been making success happen, or as we call it on this show, MSH, since you've left Pitch.
Yes,
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to dive in.
Well, it hasn't been that long since you were at Pitch, so I want to start there and just kind of looking back on your time with us at Pitch Publicity. What stands out most to you about interning with us? Because you didn't even intern with us for a very long time, kind of, I would say, a semester and a half.
Yeah. So my journey on Pitch Publicity was definitely nothing short of amazing. So when I joined Amy at Pitch Publicity, I had just switched my major into public relations. So I was kind of scrambling for an internship and any opportunity that I can get in PR. And I know that you're so well versed in the Gator Alumni Association and just the Gator world in general. So I stumbled upon Pitch Publicity and I applied. And I didn't think anything of it just because I knew it was also a paid internship. And I know that those are, more serious and you probably need more qualifications and requirements. But it turned into a phone call, and then it turned into a Zoom interview, and then it turned into a internship trial. And then I ended up getting the offer to just be a full-time intern. So that was really, really exciting. But I think that I had no idea what to expect at this internship. I mean, you obviously told me the rundown of it, but when we really got into it, what really surprised me was how much trust and confidence you had in your interns, and I see that you still have in your interns. I mean, you were trusting us to pitch these real life clients and these real life experts and land them spots on radio shows, radio stations and TV shows and news outlets, and we were writing news release. Like it was such an amazing experience, and I'm always shocked at how much of a real world experience it was for me and for everybody else. And I mean, let alone planning an entire event as well and actually flying us to New York. It was like, is this real life? And it was my senior year, so it was so much fun, and it was just like the cherry on top of that fall semester.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about the trip to
Yeah.
New York because Daniela was working with us, I think, for like 3 weeks before I was like, "Okay, you're going to New York." I was a very short time. I think maybe a month. I think you were here like a month,
Yeah.
and that never happens, by the way. I don't usually do that. I went totally against what my normal rule is, which somebody has to kinda earn it to earn a
Of
trip like
course.
that. But we already had this planned.
Yeah.
You had kinda come in late in the semester. I needed somebody, so I was like, "Well, Daniela's coming with us." So that must have been, very shocking to have all that kinda in the first just 6 weeks of working together.
It was, yeah, but I was so excited. I mean, she was like, "Pick your flight, let me know what times you want, and let's do this." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is like next week."
Had you been to New York previously?
Yeah, I have a couple of friends, and then I visited with family in the past, but I don't think I had been when it was cold because I think it was toward the end of the semester, so that was
In
definitely a sh
November.
Yes, it was in November, yeah, so it was still pretty chilly in New York.
And what was that experience like for you, and how did it, since let's tell everybody what your major was prior to switching to what was your major?
Yeah, so my major, I came into UF, psychology major on a pre-med track. So I made a pretty big shift in it was my second year, probably my second year spring semester. And at that point, COVID happened as well. So everything was remote. It was really hard to get an internship. A lot of internship programs were getting canceled because nobody really knew what was going to happen to the world. And I mean, we ended up shutting down, but yeah, I was a psych major, and it was a pretty big switch to public relations because people told me it's a very broad and general major, and even if I still wanted to stay in the medical doctor world, I could, but I could just be on the PR side of it.
So that's interesting because little did you know, most of our clients are medical and doctors.
I know, seriously, it all
And
worked
you
out.
really got to experience the other side of it.
Mhm.
What was the experience of coming to New York, meeting a lot of our doctor clients and scientists and different people that were at our event? What was that like for you, and what impression did that give you on public relations?
Yeah, so well, first it was kind of a culture shock because I was like, "Oh my god, there are so many people here that I didn't know," but it was really nice being able to put a face to the person because we were always pitching all of these experts and all of these science-based companies. So it was really interesting being able to be like, "Okay, well this is this person and this is this client and you got them a spot on this," which was your favorite thing to do, which was so funny because you would just go up to them and you would be like, "Oh, Daniela got you on this." And I was like, "Oh, I'm honored."
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think what really
you worked with a lot of technical clients, so, like, we had, I remember you worked on NJ Labs and
Yes,
SRW Labs, which was a international company, and they were
yes,
doing a lot of longevity research,
yeah.
and Genova Bioworks that was out of Canada and was doing some really innovative, work as well. I mean, but very technical, all of these things were pretty technical. How did you um, tackle the science-based, maybe, I don't know, maybe the pre-med track you were ready for it, but how did that kinda, enhance your skill set or confidence?
Yeah, so I think that it really helped me out in terms of confidence because I had to 100% know who I was pitching and I had to know my audience and know my client. And I think that that still goes back to what I'm doing now. So because I'm in the account side of the industry and the advertising industry, I think that it's really important for you to act as that knowledge hub for the entire team because you are acting as that middleman between the client and your internal team. And it was going to be the same thing with at pitch publicity. I mean, you had to know everything because when you would call to pitch your client, people would likely follow up and be like, well, tell me more, give me more information. And what do you mean by this technical term? So you had to know absolutely everything about them. So I think that it really motivated me and it kind of pushed me to do better and to know my client a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah, Danielle was talking about facetin and zombie cells and
Oh my gosh, the zombie cell was so amazing. I mean, I remember for Genova Bioworks, I helped on that press release,
Mhm.
and I mean, it was such an incredible experience because I was like, "Me? Like, this is gonna be published." Like
Um, so tell me a little bit about, while you're at the internship, what was the most I mean, you did a lot of things for us. So you pitched,
Mhm.
but you also did reports and you compiled reports and you worked on the media database. So you got a broad experience in a short amount of time. What was the most challenging part of the internship and how did you push through it and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so I would say, of course, the most challenging part was definitely the rejection that came from it. So I mean, our time was split throughout Monday through Friday, but there were times where I would have heavier shifts, like 3 to 4 hours working at pitch. So it was getting rejected getting rejected constantly for several hours a day. And I mean, it just obviously takes a toll on anybody. But I think that you push through it when you do finally get that yes and when you get that reassurance. And not even just pitching, I was also, I don't know if you remember or I don't know if you still do it, but we would do these weekly kind of news roundups that it was like top 3 articles to share with the team. So that was something that it really pushed me. So it was even getting rejection from you because it was like you were pushing me to be better. So you would be like, I think that there's a better article out there, or you can frame this in a better way. So the rejection was really hard but it did motivate me, and maybe back then I didn't know, but it definitely pushed me to be a better writer and a better communicator because those were definitely the areas where I wasn't as strong, but those are fundamental areas for PR and advertising and honestly this industry in general.
I'm glad you brought that up because actually this week I was doing some rejecting on that very assignment that I gave one of my current interns.
Yeah.
And we have this client, and every week we have to find 3 trend articles that's happening in their industry so we can share with their members. And that's what Danielle is talking about that she was working on. I think that was for Organic and Natural Health
Mhm.
Association.
Yes.
And I think that's interesting because I'd like to just touch on that a bit. I mean, have you found that you have to do that in other roles at agencies where you're constantly scouring the news for what's trending? Is that part of the assignment
Yeah.
sometimes?
So every role that I've had, even as an intern at MSL and my full-time jobs now at MSL and FCB, I have had to search the industry and so right now USPS is retail, so any retail news, I need to post about it. I need to let our team know and our external teams as well know kind of like, okay, this is what our competitors are doing, so we need to keep a lookout. And it's been so important and even just the industry itself. So for example, USPS is mail in packages. So I would also look up UPS and FedEx news. So it's not so much just retail as a broad topic, but it's going into the nitty gritty of what's happening on a day to day basis. But I don't think that's something that's ever going to go away. And again, it's something that I had no idea was going to be so prominent in my career, but I have literally done it in every single role that I've had. So it definitely helped getting that push because now I have to do write-ups almost on a daily basis at work.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So going to that, so as you were beginning your job search, I want to talk about that a little bit because I get tons of questions on this from college students, and I think you did a really good job with it. But from your experience at Pitch, what do you feel like was the most helpful, since you did do lots of things for us? What was the most helpful when you were in the job search? Like, what did other companies take note of on your resume that you did with us that they were impressed with?
Yeah, so I think above all else, it's writing. Writing is so, so, so important in what we do. You are literally going to be writing every single day on the job. So I think that that's something that people should use as leverage because I mean it came in handy kind of telling interviewers and recruiters like this is what I would do on a daily basis and it all entailed writing and even now I'm still learning things at work and every client is different and unique so you kind of have to tailor your writing to them but I get told all the time, emails are a work of art. You need to do the bolding, you need to do the red, the highlight, you need to do all that you can do in order to make it concise and effective for the client to understand. So I always tell people if you have very good experience in writing, I mean, writing samples is huge. Anything that you've written, any experience that you have with writing, it's going to be in the things that you do every single day. I mean, now how we communicate with anybody, even at work, it's a ping, but you gotta be effective and you have to be quick with it. So that's what I would say was my biggest tick with interviewers and recruiters and when I was going through this process.
I like how you say writing as an art, because
Yes,
truly it is.
it
You're
is.
communicating with your words, and
Mhm.
it's very powerful. Um, how how did you approach your job search after graduation? What was your strategy? Because you've worked at 2 really big agencies. How did you get those opportunities? What did you do to get there?
Yeah, so my senior year, I think that internships are very, very crucial and critical when you are about to graduate and go into the workforce. I feel like with the job market, it's really hard to kind of get an entry level job right off the bat. So you kind of have to ease your way in with an internship. So I was lucky enough to get the multicultural advertising internship program. And this is basically a 13-week program, which you're part of a cohort with people and you essentially get a bid and you get placed at an agency. And that's where I landed at MSL, where I worked for P&G brands like Swiffer and Microbrand 24. And then that's what led me to get that full time offer at MSL as well through the P&G baby care brand. So then when I started my search with FCB, it was kind of just I was ready for another challenge and I was ready for a new opportunity and getting to that next step of my career. I feel like I did my part at MSL. I was there for a year and a half. I wanted to kind of move away from PR because it was all I knew for about 4 years. So I wanted that experience elsewhere. So I always tell people you just have to be consistent. You have to be really communicative with these recruiters and tell them off the bat what you want. I mean, at FCB, I was interning for 2 to 3 other teams for about 4 to 5 months. But I had a really good relationship with the FCB recruiter, and it later led me to get an interview for the USPS team, which led me to get this job. So it's certainly not easy and it takes a lot of work, but you just have to be so consistent and persistent and kind of show them how bad you want that job.
Okay, so let's step back just a second because it might have went right over someone's head on how you got into MSL. So let's go back there. So you applied to a program. Can you tell us about the program and how would students learn or find out about these programs? Are they only at specific schools? Is it like a global thing? Is it something that's a program that's
Yeah.
sponsored by the company, or how do you explain the program a little bit more?
Yeah, so the Multicultural Advertising Internship Program, but MAPE for short, it's a national program and it's a bit selective. You do have to be a multicultural student and going to attending a school in the United States, but anybody can apply. I mean, it was a very jarring process. It was about 3 rounds of interviews, and then that last round is when you get that essential bid. But I think that you can hear about these opportunities through UF. There are so many UF students that have gotten this internship, and honestly, the network is you can cast a wide net on it. But I am happy to connect with anybody about this program. I mean, I always encourage it and I always tell people the best things because something else that's part of the program is that you work with a specific brand to do a campaign for them. And that's kind of like your final project for the internship program. And our brand was Disney. So we did a partnership with Disney and we came together and we made a whole campaign from research and analytics to social media. It was the whole thing blown out and it was made by just recently graduated students. So it was honestly really impressive and it was really important to be able to communicate and collaborate with other people at your level.
So I remember writing this letter for you to get into the
Yes.
program. So the program paid you, and
Yes, so the program was not paid.
it was not paid.
No,
Okay.
so MAPE was not paid, but the internship with MSL was paid.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you did the program that was not paid, and
Yes.
that lasted how long?
The program was about 13 weeks long, so it was from the end of February, kind of when you find out, to early June or end of May when you would start your actual internship
Okay,
with
so you can do it
Pitch
during
Perfect.
school. You can do it while you're
Yeah.
still in school, and then the
Yeah.
idea is that at the conclusion, they place you with an agency. Is that the
Yeah.
idea?
So if you are part of the cohort, that means that you got a bid already, that you got matched to an agency, but kind of those 13 weeks is prepping you for what you're going to be doing at the agency. But yes, everything is after hours, so it'll be at like 5 to 6 p.m. So it's very student friendly. And again, majority of the people in the internship program are juniors or seniors. So I happen to be a senior, so it was easier for me to get that offer because I was ready to start the workforce.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Um, that's really interesting. And so that's how you got in, because I know it's very difficult to get in. So now that you've had a PR agency job, a big one, and now you're at a very big advertising agency job. Um, which discipline excites you the most? I mean, I know you said in our fire round advertising. Is it advertising?
Yes, it is advertising. I would say it's advertising because there's so much creativity that goes into it. I mean, PR and advertising, they're still gonna cross paths no matter what. You still have to protect your brand at an advertising agency, but there is so much more freedom when it comes to creativity at a advertising agency. I mean, you're working closely with strategists, with the creative team. You are reviewing their creative art before it actually goes to client. You're providing feedback. So it really helps you grow and it helps you look at the creative in a different lens. And everything again needs to ladder back to what that strategy was and what that insight that we presented to clients was. So I've
And there's
learned
money. Advertising
so
has more money than
more
PR.
money. Yes. That's also what I've heard.
Be more creative in a big way.
Yes, in a big way with more money. Yes, 1000%. That's another thing that I felt like I was a little bit naive too. I was like, "Oh, brands have so much money to give us." Like we are but no, being an account, you work very closely with finance and you realize how much not money people have.
Yeah, they're counting everything, and they want
Yep,
some kind of result from it, so it's a lot of pressure too on the
so much.
advertising and PR side.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about big agencies, because both of these are very large agencies. There's a lot of myths and rumors probably about working at agencies. Um, now that you've been in 2 big ones, what's one myth about working at a big agency that you've discovered isn't true?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, everybody knows that agency life is very fast paced, but I think that a really big myth is you're not going to have any weekends. You're going to be working until midnight and you're going to go to sleep at this time. And that's not true. I mean, of course, there's going to be days where clients, client needs and client expectations are there. So you probably need to stay up a little bit longer or you need to stay online and you need to stay in the office. But honestly, it's not an everyday thing. It doesn't happen very often. I would say again that it depends on what's going on and at what point the campaign is in. So I think it's really important to realize the work-life balance and how important it is. I think that as an industry, we've normalized it a lot more because from what I've heard from other people and other mentors, I mean, it was not like this. There was no work-life balance, there was no boundaries, like, these things didn't exist, so I feel like this new generation is really normalizing it for people, and people are realizing, it's PR, not the ER, which is my favorite quote to use,
I like
certainly.
that.
Yeah.
We've entered a new era called mental health days, which did not exist
Yes,
20
mental
years
health.
ago.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I
You
hear all
called
the
in sick and tried to sound really bad and if you were having a bad day, and hopefully they would let you off the hook.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, so that's interesting. That's good. Okay, so that's a good myth. So, well, then tell me something that surprised you about working at agencies that you were not expecting.
Something that I was not expecting, I definitely think, like, the relationship and the friendships that you grow with the people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis. So, like I mentioned, I was a remote student for the rest of my career at UF once I switched into public relations, so I never got that in-person group presentation, that project collaboration with people because we literally could not work with people. So I think that I kind of had the mentality before I went in person that people are just my coworkers and I'm not going to have a relationship with them outside of work. But I think what shocked me is the amount of friends that I've made when I got to an office and when I went in person. Because I kind of had my guard up and I was like, okay, we are just employees, we are just coworkers. But now I have like group chats with people and I'm getting breakfast with people, I'm meeting people's dogs, people are meeting my dog from work and it's something that I never thought would happen, but it's such a nice full circle moment when it does happen because that means that you are in a healthy work environment and I think above all else culture is so important. And whenever people reach out to me about FCB or just the jobs market or the job search in general, I always told them that my biggest thing was always culture. And that's kind of what has kept me here for so long because it means so much to me and it is so important.
Okay, so we know that the culture and environment at agencies are not always good. I definitely hear about those.
Yep.
It sounds like you're in a good environment, which is fantastic. How do you, in the interview process, I know it's hard because it's like going on a first date with somebody and everyone's presenting their best, the
Mhm.
interviewee and the employee, the employer. But how do you get a sense that this place is going to be a good environment? What questions would you recommend that people ask during the interview process?
Yeah, so I always make it a note for me. So even if the initial conversation is usually with the recruiter and then you'll move into the interview rounds. So I always make it a note to ask questions at the end. I've come to realize that asking questions at the end of an interview is so important and it can differentiate you from another candidate. So one of my questions is always, what is the culture like at this agency? And what do you do in terms of DEI? What are your DEI efforts? So all the responses are going to vary based on their experience. And I feel like that's when you know if they're being legit about it or not, if they're being honest about it. So the recruiter is obviously going to feed you more of the kind of like the corporate answer to it and like, yeah, our culture is great. But when you really ask the employees that you're interviewing with, I think those are the ones that matter because they'll give you real life anecdotes and they'll be like, well, I was part of this one. So this group is for these type of people and then this group. So I that's always something that's very important, and if they kind of brush off the answer, that's, like, an immediate red flag to me because it obviously gives me a sense that they're not really aware of the culture and their DEI efforts, which, again, is something that means a lot to me, and it's something that's always a check mark or not for me when it comes to looking for jobs.
Okay, so you say it's a red flag that they brush it off. Can you give us an example of a comment or how somebody would brush off a DEI question?
Yeah, so experience from, like, a year ago when I was starting this job search, someone just said, "Oh, well, it's kind of what you make it." About the culture, and that was his response. So I was like, "Oh, okay," and I didn't know that was the end of his answer, but it was because we were silent for a couple of seconds. So I was like, "Oh, no, that's not," and then the recruiter had obviously given me a whole spiel about how amazing the culture is, but I'm like, if your employee who is a higher up can't respond or reply in, a somewhat professional manner or even lie about it, then I feel like that's an issue.
DIY, DEI, do it yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yep. There you go. There you go.
We have DYI, DEI.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Whatever you wanna make it, you make it happen.
Yes, literally, that's kind of what he was telling me. So I was like, "Okay, that's not what I was looking for."
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I, obviously have enjoyed being your mentor. I know that we have that relationship, but since you've left the pitch pad, have you found any other mentors along the way at these big agencies, and how did you find them?
Yeah, so I I feel like my manager at these agencies have acted as a great mentor, just because, you have weekly one-on-ones with them and they're kind of the people that walk you through your career growth and those career sync conversations that happen at the end of the year. So they obviously care about your growth and your development within the agency and even outside of the agency. So I think that I always seek a manager as a mentor, and I let that relationship be known from the onset. And I've been very fortunate enough that all the managers that I have had, they've really cared about my growth at FCB. So it's been something that's really important to me, and something that I actually hope that I can get to at some point in my career. Right now, I'm not managing anybody, but I do love when people come to me with all of these questions and I can act as a mentor to them. Any chance I can get when FCB has any school visits, I'm like, "Hey, can I jump in there? Can I participate? I love to talk about my experience." And I use me being as a junior to mid-level employee to kind of leverage that because obviously these people are still going to be very new to the industry, so they have a ton of questions and I love answering them, but mentorship is very, very important, and you certainly shouldn't burn any bridges. I mean, this goes to show me and you, Amy, we're still in contact, and it's so, so, so important. And I had forgotten that you wrote me a letter of rec for MAPE. So that goes to show how important these relationships are.
Absolutely. Are there any skills that you learned at Pitch that you're still using today? I know you're in the advertising world now, but are there any things that you picked up from the internship that you're still using?
Yeah, I mean, aside from knowing how to communicate and talking to your audience and of course writing, I think that confidence was a really, really big thing that I picked up at Pitch. I mean, again, like I mentioned, you had so much confidence in us, and I think that I kind of had imposter syndrome in a way that I was like, I don't know if I'm right for this job or for this industry, but you would keep pushing us, and that really helped build up my confidence. And obviously when you're on the phone for with 80 plus people, you're able to really practice your communication skills and your confidence levels do grow. So I think that that's something that I try to exude every day at work.
I literally pushed you. I think we have a picture of me pushing you.
Yes, we do. We do. I still have
Pushed
it.
you
Yes.
pushed you into all kinds of things, into the
Yes.
water. Daniela, we didn't have much time with her, so we had to, like, really get
Yep.
things going, so
Did. Yeah.
well,
And it was great.
I'm so happy that things are going well for you and that, you've been growing in your career so rapidly. I is there any way that people can get in touch with you? If they wanna get in touch with you and maybe learn from your experience, what's the best way for our Pitch Live community to connect with you?
Yeah, I would say LinkedIn, through messaging me. I am very, very responsive on LinkedIn and I treat LinkedIn like a TikTok or Instagram. So I would love to be in communication with anybody, but I definitely think that that's the best source for me.
All right. Well,
Mhm.
Daniela, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that you have inspired so many people in your career journey. You're going to continue to do so. And I want to encourage everyone to share this episode so we can get more people exposed to the amazing career path that Daniela has taken. I think she's done a very good job with it. And I think you can learn a lot from how she managed to get into these big agencies, which is not an easy thing to do. And be sure to connect with Daniela on LinkedIn, as she mentioned. thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I had so much fun.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this episode of Pitch Live with Amy Summers. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and give us a rating or review. Your feedback helps us plan future episodes. I hope you were inspired today to get out there, build your confidence as Daniela has done, and not be afraid of rejection, right, Daniela?
Perfect. Yes. Rejection is redirection.
I love that. You have all kinds of zingers.
I know, right? It comes with
ER is not ER, and rejection is redirection. I love
yes.
that.
Perfect.
All right. As a bonus, join us at amycvox.com where you can get motivated, hone your communication skills, and binge as much mentorship as you want whenever you need it. The link's going to be in the show notes along with all of our social media handles. So let's stay connected so we can follow each other in success. And until next time, MSH, we'll be watching you, Daniela.